Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, agents. I'm Manny Carlin. Welcome to a Let's Talk right here on Gun Brothers Gaming. We are going to talk about the patch notes for 1.6 as we get ready to go into the eve of 1.6 launch and the last stand. And as you may have noticed, if you didn't see my update, I went over in detail about last stand yesterday and gave you a little bit of a launch guide. So we're just going to go ahead and skip over all of that stuff and go ahead and move on over to the patch notes that were released today. So let's go ahead and dive right in. A new incursion has been released. It is called Lost Signal. I had a chance to check this out while I was in the PTS, and it is very cool. There are 3 sections that you have to open up, and it feels very much like a normal raid that you would do in a MMO. So it has some very cool techniques to it and stuff like that. But Lost Signal takes place in a civilian TV broadcast center taken over by the infamous Riker gang. Players will venture into 3 different wings and face unique combat scenarios. Each encounter is meant to push players to play tactically and make the best use of their builds. All wings bring their own challenge and rewards. Completing all of them will unlock the final boss fight and the strongest opposition yet. So let's talk about this. It's not as cool as they make it sound. It is pretty much your typical go in there and shoot things in the face. Yes, there are some tactics to it, but you're not going to find, if you're going into this looking for a Destiny style raid, you are going to be sadly disappointed. It is really just another incursion. It is a very cool incursion. It is not a Destiny style raid. So please be advised on that. I don't want anybody being disappointed and feeling slighted. It is a incursion. It is not a raid, but it does feel very much like your typical raid that you would go into. And there's 3 boss fights. It's much better than anything else they have ever come up with in the division. So take that with a grain of salt. So update 1.6. The following content changes and bug fixes are available free for everyone. Update 1.6 is available tomorrow on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Dark Zone expansion map. They have expanded the Dark Zone, and you can now explore 3 new areas just to the north of the Dark Zone. Engage powerful enemies and discover the dangers hidden around every corner. And the Dark Zone leaderboards, there's going to be a lot of people just gobbling up the knobs on the e-penis, getting out there and trying to get their e-penis up on the leaderboard. There's going to be people glitching. There's going to be people trying to do whatever they can to get on these leaderboards, and pretty much that's what it's going to be. There's definitely, I did a full in-depth analysis of the leaderboards. There's different things that you have to do every week. Your leaderboard status doesn't carry over from one week to the next. It's based on these specific objectives that you need to do while you're in there. And so now you can see how you stack up against other players in the Dark Zone on the leaderboard activities that reset and change every week and month. So there's a monthly one, there's a weekly one. All the tracked weekly and monthly activities count toward your total score. The higher your score, the better rewards you will earn when the leaderboards reset. So there you go. There's going to be rewards. I guess they're going to be exotics. There's not too much there's really not anything that you could get as a reward that would make this feel like I haven't got this before. Everything, they haven't added anything new to the game really, in terms of like stuff that you could actually get in the game that you don't already have. There's equipment, there's guns, there's stuff like that, there's exotic equipment, but it's all stuff that we've seen. So it's not like your rewards are going to be really great. It's still going to be based around RNG. They'll probably give you a couple sealed caches or something like that. So there you go. Unless they're going to have special rewards just for you, just in the Dark Zone, then I wouldn't really worry about, the rewards that you get for that, but it's still pretty cool. So Dark Zone contamination events, these were very cool. I enjoyed doing these contamination events. They make you think tactically. You have to make sure that you have a healer on point. These aren't something that you can go in and solo really, because you have to be mindful about your health, and your health is going to be ticking down over time. So let's go ahead and just cover that. You can keep going over and over again. There's multiple contamination events going on, so you can just keep going into the sewer over and over again. There's probably like 4 or 5 that you can actually reach by the time limit, and you actually get really good rewards from those. So legendary difficulty, I'm setting up something with a few other YouTubers to do some legendary difficulty stuff. So if you're into watching some cool legendary difficulty walkthroughs and stuff like that, then we're going to be putting some together. Me and a couple other Division YouTubers, we're going to be doing that. No, not those that you're thinking about. Probably some bigger, some smaller. It's all, it's all relative, but we're going to put those together, and we'll put them, hopefully we'll be able to share footage, and you'll be able to see my screen, their screen. Hopefully I'll be able to do 4 screens at one time. That would be super cool. But legendary difficulty, pit yourself against the elite LMB forces equipped with superior gear and advanced tactics. They don't really take that much more to kill. It's really, they're easy to kill, but it's more that they kill you a lot faster. Legendary difficulty strips missions of all narrative and focuses purely on combat scenarios. Thank goodness, because the narratives at this point are pretty bad. Like, it's nice not to have to hear the voices over and over again. Each legendary mission has a single checkpoint about halfway through. Legendary difficulty is only available in World Tier 5, and available missions are Napalm Production Site, Warren Gate Power Plant, Times Square Power Relay. Those are the only ones for that. And so you're probably going to see people hitting up Napalm Production Side. I soloed. Nobody's going to do Warren Gate Power Plant. That thing is a pain in the ass on Heroic. If you're underpowered with your guys, there's no way that you are going to do it on Legendary. It's just a waste of time. So more options for character customizations. Explore all new ways to customizing your agents with weapon skins, backpack skins, new clothing sets, and emotes from the premium. They fail to add in from the premium item vendor. There's no anything else. So customizing your agent, that's kind of misleading. You're not actually customizing your agent as much as you are customizing your gear and your clothing. So it's not like you can take off those glasses that are super glued to his fucking face. You can't take those off. No. Never. They're never going to allow you to take those off. Once you've made your character, that's it. Unless you delete them and restart, you're never taking those damn sunglasses off your face. He's going to wear them in the dark. He's going to wear them in the light. Whenever he wears them, it's going to be, just stuck to his face. You'll never be able to get those things off. Visit the premium item vendor in the terminal to unlock premium vanity content. Stocks update weekly, so check back regularly. And right now, you can go to the Ubisoft Club and get yourself 170 points of premium credits. The drug dealers pushing their stuff first out. Hey man, you want some for free? First hits for free, then you can come. That's what they're doing. You gotta get that little taste, little taster. What? Anyways, hey, thanks for giving us those free points. That's mighty nice of you. So, combat. There's increased timer for revived of down teammates from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. Bleed no longer blocks sprint. Instead, it reduces movement speed by 20%. Med kits can now be used at full health to get rid of status effects. Hipfire stability has been significantly reduced when moving. Increased hipfire penalty. Weapon spread is now wider, while stability and recoil are now also impacted. Player camera will now be impacted by hipfire, reducing the field of view the longer you keep firing. There is also a short cooldown between each combat roll, which is approximately 1 second. So no more jumping, diving and jumping and looking at these guys doing these little somersaults all over the place. They're not going to be doing that anymore. Now, their body shot damage has been slightly increased in PvP. This change does not apply to PvE. Headshot damage is unchanged. Implemented visual feedback when an enemy player uses a med kit, and the PvP damage multiplier has been set to 0.42. This applies to both Last Stand and the Dark Zone. So one thing I didn't talk about yesterday when I talked about the Last Stand was Last Stand gear normalization. So basically, when you go into the Last Stand, they want everybody to be on equal ground. So all that stuff that you're wearing, doesn't matter if it's pink, if it's yellow, all that stuff hits up to 2 256. So anything that 256, it goes up, all your stats get maxed out. So if you're running stamina, it maxes it out. If you're running electronics, maxed out. Firearms, maxed out. So if you don't ever play any of these again, you don't have to worry about if you don't play the normal game again, you just stick with Last Stand, you don't have to worry about any of your stats. It'll all be normalized. You just gotta worry about your perks and stuff like that. So all bonuses included from gear and performance mods will be increased to their maximum roll. Weapons automatically increase to the gear score at 256. Talents unlock based on the normalized main attribute. So keep that in mind. If you're putting everything into firearms, you're not going to unlock a lot of stuff because your stamina still needs to unlock it. But all bonuses from mods, damage, and attributes will be increased to their maximum roll. All players will be set to 35% armor mitigation, so your armor has no bearing on this, so put some stuff into health. That's a pro tip right there. Put stuff into health. This armor mitigation is affected by talents and skill buffs. Player talents, gear set bonuses, and weapon set bonuses function as normal. And don't forget that if you're running that Deadeye set, you have to have a scope that zooms in or your bonus will not proc. So Dark Zone, players can now fast travel between Dark Zone checkpoints. Players will no longer lose Dark Zone experience and funds when killed in the Dark Zone if they are not rogue. Just FYI, they have changed the Banshee set to actually give you another bonus instead because they have normalized that losing Dark Zone experience and funds when killed in the Dark Zone. Supply drops will now reward Dark Zone experience as well, and Koreatown is no longer classified as a landmark. So armor, this is actually going to be long, so sit back and just take note. So armor has been removed as a major bonus, if you remember, and it's been replaced by health. Health has been added to the game. Depending on the world tier you're in, you'll automatically be given amount of base health for free. Added in a new resist all, which adds resistance to all types of status effects. Older items with health bonuses will see this bonus replaced with the resist all one. Resist all is capped at 60%, but you can stack this. So you stack resist all at 60%, and then you get all of your other resistances up, and you'll have a pretty good set of resistances for all that stuff. So resistance to status effects now reduce the effect instead of having a chance to resist it. So now if you have 50% resistance to a status effect, it's still going to affect you. It's just going to last half as long. This means that 10% bleed resist will lower the bleed damage and duration by 10% instead of having a 10% chance to ignore it. That's what I just said. When applied repeatedly in a short time, the players will naturally build up a resistance to this status effect. In other words, status effects will now have diminishing returns when applied repeatedly to a player. So if somebody keeps hitting you with bleed over and over and over and over and over again, it's gonna be less and less each time. If the player manages to build up a 100% resistance to a status effect, they will resist it entirely. So think about that when you're shooting people. So gear talents, rejuvenated now gives 40% resistance to all status effects for 10 seconds when using a med kit. Gear stats. Gear bonuses have now been moved around on various gear pieces. I'm not going to go through these all. You can go check the regular patch notes. It's a lot of stuff, and I don't want to waste your time. Recalibration. This is one of the main things that people were talking about with recalibration. With all the changes to gear stats, they need to figure out a way to give you back some cash for the existing gear and how to convert. If you had native armor bonuses that weren't recalibrated, it will be turned into health. If you had a recalibrated armor bonus, the recalibration will reset and you will be given back the initial bonus for the items that have been acquired, and you can go ahead and re-roll that. If you had a native health bonus not recalibrated, it will be turned into an all resistance. This is very confusing, but stick with me. It's very, you'll get it once you see it in the game tomorrow. If you had a recalibrated health bonus on any other gear piece, the recalibration will reset, you'll be refunded. If you had recalibrated health bonus and chest piece and no native armor roll, the health will remain. If you had recalibrated health bonus and chest piece and native armor roll on this piece, the recalibration will be reset, as you would otherwise end up with the 2 health bonuses in your thing. But basically what they're saying is there's certain things that are going to get re-rolled, certain things that are going to be changed from armor to health to resist all, and then you're going to get some money back for all the stuff that you re-rolled. So go ahead and think about that. You should get a nice boost to your bank account once that happens. So character talents. Let's just keep moving on. We're going to start banging this stuff out. Character talents: on the move reduced by 15%, battle boost, battle buddy reduced to 30%, critical save reduced to 20%. Adrenaline will no longer apply overheal. Instead, it replaces the instant heal of med kits with a heal over time that can also apply while taking damage. So this is one of the things that I had the problem with, is that adrenaline, a lot of people didn't realize, but adrenaline actually made it so your health kits no longer gave you the instant heal. It did a heal over time. And if you know how heal works in this game, a instant heal is going to be 10 times more effective than a heal over time, unless it's going to negate damage for some sort of period of time. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. There are a lot of changes to skill. Skill power curve has been modified, resulting in less efficient skills at low power, and more efficient skills at high power. Skills will now scale to the world tier you're currently is expected skill power. That sucks, but it is what it is. Diminishing return skill power will not kick in before 450,000 skill power if you can get it that high. All skills have been adapted to this new scaling. So skill haste gear bonuses have now been increased by 100%. Skill haste has a cap of 50%. Skill haste should have been removed from the game because it was one of those things that people had problems with, and there's no reason for it to be in the game. Just they needed to remove it, they didn't. So enjoy all the bugs that happen with that and all the people that are going to stack that, because that's important to stack, because that now is what gives you back all of your gear faster. So sticky bombs, they have changed flashbang mod to only have a flashbang effect. It will not have a damage effect anymore. Replace the proximity fuse mod with disruptor, which has an EMP effect. Its explosion radius has been increased to 9 meters. Added a warning and delay to sticky bomb. This means that the sticky bomb, except for disruptor, will no longer detonate immediately, but after some time. First aid defibrillator will now heal in 2 steps. 1 instant burst of healing followed by a heal over time. Booster shot damage mitigation bonus has been increased by 50% from 15% to 7.5. Oh, decreased. So the shock turret will no longer deal damage. It will only shock the enemy, which doesn't matter. The shock turret did so little damage that really didn't matter anyway, so that's good to know. Base damage and active sensor range decreased from 35 to 25 meters. All mods except shock. The base health has been reduced by 25%, and all mods skill power impact on health reduced. Mobile cover base cooldown increased by 33%. Why? I have no idea why. Pulse, actually I do know why, and I'm not going to say why, but I do know that people were using the mobile cover for nefarious reasons and bugs and glitches and stuff like that while they were playing Last Stand. So that doesn't really matter. The pulse, reduced impact of the skill power on critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Tactical scanner, critical hit chance increased by 20%, critical hit damage reduced by 11%. So you're getting more critical hits, you're getting less damage. So smart cover, Seeker Mine, let's just go ahead. Seeker Mine, all mods added a PvP damage modifier that applies to all PvP activities to reduce its potency. The multiplier is set to 40%. Base cooldown increased 17%, and the cluster the stagger effect has been removed. Explosion damage has been decreased, and the bleed damage has been increased. So there you go. You're not going to have that screen stagger anymore when they explode. You're going to have less damage initially and more damage over time. So they might die running away. Support stations, just get Reclaimer set. You don't need to listen to me do that. And signature skills, they've increased the exhaust that applies after the player received a signature skill effect, and it is extended to 60 seconds from 30 seconds. Players will no longer be able to trigger a signature skill if they are under the exhaust effect from a previous application. Signature skill cooldown will now be affected by skill haste, which it shouldn't be. There's no reason to put that stuff in there. I don't know. Tactical link damage bonus has been decreased to 10% in Last Stand. This change doesn't apply outside of Last Stand, where the bonus will remain 30%. Weapon stability will be more hindered by the rate of fire bonus. Now, gear sets, we could go on. Honestly, you should just go look at the patch notes yourself. We get gear sets, let's just cover it really quickly. We'll cover the main gear sets so that you know. The D3 FNC 4-piece, when used, your ballistic shield has no skill mod active. It will no longer remove critical chance from your weapon, so you can go ahead and use your machine gun, your SMG, and it will still have your critical hit chance. Characters will now automatically switch to their sidearm if the SMG runs out of ammo. This was a problem in the earlier builds. The 4-piece all support stations for Reclaimer have been activated. This is really nice, so if you're looking to run a support build, Reclaimer is the way to go. 2-piece 30% support station range, 3-piece 50% support station duration, and 4-piece all support station mods are active at the same time. Very useful. I could see a lot of people running Reclaimer in different scenarios. Probably not in the Last Stand. You probably get whooped on that, but that's what it is. So Alpha Bridge 4-piece now only provides the third talent of an unused weapon instead of all 3. So all talents ignore unlock requirements. Tactician's Authority, 15% skill haste for the 2-piece, and 4 pieces now consumes the skill power buff on skill use instead of after 10 seconds. So that's good. So now you can wait till it hits 99 and then use it, and then it'll reset. So Banshee Shadows gear set, the 4 pieces, while rogue, all ammo is completely refilled every 30 seconds. Damage taken from non-rogue players reduced by 10%, and while not rogue, damage to rogue players is increased by 10%. This bonus is increased to 20% for 10 minutes after being killed by a rogue as the additional damage buff. And as I said before, Deadeye is now only working with zoomed in scopes. So loot high-end named items have become exotics. This is, I'm not going to go through all of this. The Phoenix cap has been raised from 2,000 to 5,000, thank goodness. Scavenger box in the base of operations now scales to the world tier. Weekly assignments caches will now guarantee an exotic item. Exotic items sold at vendors have had their prices slightly increased. I think they're 1,321 Phoenix credits now as opposed to 1,200. Gear set items have been lowered to be equivalent to high-end prices. So crafting recalibrations are now unlimited. This means that once a stat is picked for recalibration, it can be recalibrated as many times as the player has currency to pay for. The cost will increase at first, but eventually cap and no longer increase. That's not really crafting. So we're going to have a let's talk on crafting, because I think crafting needs to make a comeback. I think that's one of the things that that hasn't been utilized in this game right now, and crafting needs to make a comeback, whether it's doing these, doing an exotic mission to build a gun or something like that. But crafting needs to make a comeback. It needs to make a comeback in a big way, and I think that crafting needs to really just be a focal point of whatever 1.7 is. So let's just go ahead. Named weapons are now of exotic quality. Exotic weapons now have a unique talent in the 3rd slot. Some of them are still the same terrible weapons that they were before. Some of them are much better. So we're not going to go over that. Weapons and named weapons, that all that stuff is going to be changed. You'll see it in the game. Go ahead, take a look at the patch notes. And let's see, what else do we got here? Open world civilians will now drop target intel. Oh, that's the one thing. So when you get an exotic cache, it's going to give you some target intel when you get it. So that's always a huge bonus. It will give you a lot. I don't know if they're going to still do it. That's the way it was in the PTS. Collectibles will now reward players with more XP when picked up at level 30. You get a ton of XP. You could actually go, if you haven't finished the game, you could actually go around collecting just those little collectibles, the drones and the cell phones and stuff. They give like a massive amount of XP. Like at level 30, 3 or 4 will level you up. I think you get like 150,000 XP for grabbing that stuff. So it might give you incentive to go through and just grab all the ones that you can. So some changes to survival. Crafting high-end pistol no longer costs division tech. Updated survival cache content. It will no longer have a specific drop that put weights toward weapons, blah, 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 blah. We're getting way too into it. There's a lot of bug fixes and stuff like that, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. Just go ahead and check out the patch notes if you haven't been following along. There's a lot of different changes, but there's way too much to really cover in one setting, and I don't want to, just kind of cut that off right now. I just want to get this out there. That way you guys can get the information you need that's most pertinent to you. Probably the biggest change for weapons is the SMG rank has now been changed back to critical hit chance as opposed to critical hit damage. I think that it would be cool if they just did a RNG for that, so some of the guns rolled critical hit damage, some of them rolled critical hit chance. I don't know, something, there's a lot of things that we could have wished that we could have put in, but here it is, here we are, we're on the eve of the last stand in 1.6, so take it as you will. I'm Matty Carl. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm sure that the last stand is going to drop in just moments away. We are just moments away from the launch of the last stand. So thank you for sticking it out with me. Those are the patch notes. That is my time. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video to be helpful or informative or anything like that, drop a like on it, smash that like button as some of the YouTubers say, or subscribe to our channel for more information like this. We're going to go ahead and hit the ground running. We started yesterday with our last stand launch guide, and we're going to keep it going throughout this next week as we get more information for the last stand, and we play through some, and we drop some rogues, and we fold them up and put them away wet in the back of the seat of the car so that they look like an old leather boot. So thank you so much for watching. For all of us here at The Division Let's Talk, I'm Matty Carl, and we'll see you in the last stand in only a few hours. Mountie out.